So I didn't have any intentions of really talking yet, but I want to stop here real quick and show you something that's pretty cool just out of the box with this budget monitor. So out of the box we get things like our startup book, a read me first guide, which tells you or pretty much explains to you if you're gonna VESA mount, how to use these standoffs and use the 100mm VESA mount setup that they have. Warranty thing. Well, here's an oddity first. We get an HDMI cable and we get a VGA cable. Now it is capable of doing DisplayPort out on the back, so they didn't give you a DisplayPort cable. If that's something you want, maybe throw that in the cart too on the side if this is a monitor that you're considering. Where I got a little surprised is like it's metal construction. Like I didn't honestly expect this. It's metal. I kind of expected some cheap plasticky stuff. Now there's a little bit of plastic right here, but the rest of this is metal. They give you the cutest little screwdriver so that you can use this stuff right out of the box too when it comes to mounting your screws and putting the thing together. So if you don't have a screwdriver, they don't just give you like some Allen key thing, they give you a little screwdriver that's perfect. And also we got our AC power adapter. Alright, I'm gonna go back to putting it together now. Guys, what's up? Right here is the Scepter C27. It's a monitor and a brand I've not actually heard of until I was just looking on Amazon and I said, hey, I kind of want to get that and I kind of want to try it out. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a look at it and I'll share some opinions with you because I think for 150 bucks is around about what I paid. I'll have to look it up. I'll post it down below. You get kind of a lot from this monitor and I'd call it more of an entry. It doesn't bring anything new to the table. It's nothing super fantastic, but it's a lot to give you for what you pay because I've purchased my fair share of monitors in the past. And I gotta say, if I could go back and get one of these for every one of those, I would. So when it comes to wanting something to edit on, this is not my choice. I'm not gonna go with a 5 millisecond gray to gray IPS screen that's only 1080p, and on top of that, probably an older IPS standard, as you can see probably in this shot, how you can really distinguish the pixels. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't get good color reproduction, because it does, and it looks really good, as I'll show some of those clips and try to articulate to you that this monitor does look really good and have a couple features to offer that, for the price tag, feel like it's deserving of being a more expensive monitor, I guess, if I had to throw that opinion out there. But it's got a pretty thin bezel, 1800R curve. It's a 27-inch monitor. It's built on a metal frame, which is pretty cool. Didn't expect that. Kind of thought it was going to be plastic. Ultimately, it just looks good. It also has things on the back such as DisplayPort, HDMI 1.4, and a VGA. Not a lot of people are going to use VGA. You can get 1080p at 60 frames on VGA, but you're probably going to not use that. And if you really want to take advantage or be advantageous of this monitor's ability, then what you'll want to do is probably use DisplayPort anyways, and DisplayPort to me is just the way to go. If the option is there, use it. And that's another thing, the refresh rate is pretty good. 75 Hertz is not 100 Hertz, it's not better than, it's not 144, but it's better than 60, so if you wanted to kind of bump that up a little bit, then you can. Now I also did some of the UFO tests and a black crush test. I can identify every black on this, which again was kind of impressive. I didn't expect to, because there's plenty of monitors out there where identifying the blacks is pretty difficult. I can see them all. You'll see that in some of these pictures I'm posting as well. It did okay in some of the UFO tests. There's a little bit of overscan on some of them, but then again in other ones it's spot on. In other ones you can see overscan, and there's definitely something there. There is an overdrive feature on the monitor that you can turn on. It comes enabled automatically, so maybe turning that off could adjust that down some. While playing on the monitor, I didn't really have any issues with it, and I thought that it was actually quite good for what it is, a 1080p monitor. So I wouldn't say that this is an enthusiast monitor, but I definitely say that this is a good segue into if you're building a gaming computer, if you don't have a lot of money, you want something that looks good, that is good, and is good for what it is and for what you pay, then this one's definitely got my vote, because I'm one of those guys. Recently I've had a bad spree of let me purchase this and check it out, and then I'll be like, man, this thing sucks. So I was quite surprised by this. I'm actually really excited that it's as good as it is, and I don't know if I've said that 300 times now, but you get the idea. One thing I don't really like is the menu. I think that LG has spoiled me, and I really like the single analog button menus, and that's actually on the Philips monitor too, which is something I like. When you can just use one button and go in a direction, pick what you want, and then press to tell it what you want, I think that that's so much better than having 4 or 5 buttons and you're constantly accidentally exiting out of things. So, you know, there's that. Now on the on-screen menu, you can go in there and change, of course, things like color saturation, turn the overdrive on and off. There's also dynamic black, so if you wanted to turn on dynamic contrast range or DCR, you can turn that on. I personally don't like that. What that's going to do for you though is give you a larger range of blacks to whites, and it's going to be a lot more shifting of light to adjust to the colors that are on the screen. To me, it kind of looks like the pixels are in a panic, and it's never been something I've liked on anything, whether it's my projector, whether it's any of these monitors behind me. I don't like dynamic contrast at all. I personally prefer not to have that on, but that's a personal preference, and you may be interested to know that it has that if you're somebody that likes that. It's pretty crisp, it's pretty nice. It does suffer from backlight bleed, as most IPS monitors do. Now, the backlight bleed is noticeable in very black scenarios, but it's not so much noticeable in any other scenarios, so that's good. It's not super overexposed around the corners when you're playing a game or watching a video on it. It actually looks really smooth and even, and it's a nice crispy image. One last note on it, there's also speakers that are built into it if you're somebody looking to save desk space. However, I would still probably recommend not using them and going with something smaller and external that might just be a little bit better, because the built-in speakers and monitors are typically a little bit lackluster. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm pretty impressed with this thing. If you have any specific questions about it, be sure and post down below, and I'll be sure to get back with you. Have a great day, night, whatever it is. I'll see you in the next video that I do, which will probably be about this thing.